When a continent, not just a geographical area, but a collection of cohesive politico-economic organisms, begins methodically eliminating the influence of the U.S., it is no longer just another turn in international rivalry. It signals the breakdown of global trust, without which the modern system of international relations simply cannot function. The symbolism here is monstrously important, because this is not about some random information leak or emotional statement. No, this is the result of accumulated irritation that has been restrained for years. And now it has burst forth all at once and everywhere, from Oslo to Ottawa, from Tokyo to Mexico City. The point of no return may have been crossed on March 13th, 2025. Donald Trump's phrase uttered at a meeting with the NATO Secretary General, "We need Greenland, and it will happen," seemed like a joke but was heard as a threat. And not just any threat, but a challenge to the very principle of the sovereignty of allied states. Why Greenland specifically? Because it is a litmus test. If a NATO ally allows the U.S. to question its borders, then the entire Western security system is broken. Denmark, seemingly a small and calm player, responded sharply and unexpectedly. Following it were the European Union and then Germany. These were not just diplomatic statements. This was a demonstration of a new axis of resistance within which America is no longer the center. But while one part of the world was defending its geographical borders, another began to tear symbolic ones. Europe challenged Tesla, and this, without exaggeration, is a moment of historic turning. Because Tesla is not just a car. It is a symbol of the American dream of the 21st century. The 45% drop in sales in Europe in January 2025 was just the beginning. When 94% of respondents in Germany, according to YouGov, state they would not buy a Tesla, not because of its technical characteristics, but because of Musk's personality, this is no longer marketing, this is ideology. And here's what's happening in parallel. European brands are not just recovering positions. They are rewriting the rules of the game. Renault, Volkswagen, BMW are embedding production into the agenda. Climate, social justice, sustainability. This is no longer a battle for the consumer. It's a conflict of systemic values. And in this fight, Musk, with his eccentric right-wing statements and alliances with odious politicians, becomes toxic. Not his products, himself. Against this backdrop, what was once a bastion of global trust is crumbling. American unpredictability becomes a new risk factor. America is pulling out of agreements, changing tariffs, threatening allies, and no one believes anymore that tomorrow will be like yesterday. Let's look at Canada. Trump threatens to destroy exports of aluminum, dairy products, timber. In response, Canada blocks logistics to Alaska. Not partially, not symbolically. It could paralyze tens of thousands of kilometers of infrastructure. And this is not rhetoric. These are already developed plans, as representatives from British Columbia have stated. Now Mexico. President Claudia Sheinbaum, a figure already called the most influential woman in Latin America, simply stopped Trump. Instead of yielding to pressure, she politely but firmly declared, "There will be tariffs. You will get an agrarian response." And this response will strike at the very base of Trump's electorate, the Midwest farmers. This is already a geoeconomic weapon of pinpoint accuracy. And now Japan. Apparently a close ally of the U.S., but for the first time at an official level, it began dumping U.S. Treasury bonds, and this against the backdrop of new Washington tariffs on Japanese electric cars. This is not just dissatisfaction, this is the dismantling of the dollar-centric system. After all, the Japanese economy is one of the largest holders of American debt. If Japan leaves, what will happen when South Korea or Singapore leaves? Meanwhile, China is ramping up its gold purchases. In 2023 and early 2025, the People's Bank of China alone added more than 300,000 ounces of gold to its reserves. This is not just accumulation, it is a clear signal. The dollar is no longer trusted as before. Elon Musk, with his roles in the Trump administration and attempts to enter politics, is just the froth. His downfall is the fall of a brand that epitomized American superiority. But now this brand is not being bought in Europe, Asia, or even in its own country. Even Hollywood, once the main instrument of U.S. soft power, has taken an opposition stance. Meryl Streep's performance at the Golden Globes in 2025 became a turning point. It was not just an actress's speech, it was a political declaration, followed by a wave of cultural boycott. Hollywood no longer reflects American leadership, it denies it. And here's what's particularly troubling. All these events are not coincidental. They are happening in sync. Europe imposes duties in response to American tariffs totaling $28 billion. Canada is redirecting oil towards the EU and Asia. Japan, financial defiance. Mexico, economic ultimatum. These are not separate episodes. They are the beginning of a new world architecture. America is no longer just losing contracts, it is losing respect. And respect is the only currency that cannot be printed. It cannot be bought. It cannot be imposed through sanctions. It can only be earned or lost. And if today the very name of the U.S. is associated with unpredictability and toxicity, then this is no longer a reputation crisis. It is a crisis of the civilizational model. Now the main question, can a country whose main asset has become its main risk continue to claim leadership? Share your opinion.